So without further ado, I'm going to get Dr. Seaman to come up to introduce our first presenter.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So, as you know, I am mostly into theology and serious topics like that, but by hook or by crook, I got connected with Olivia, and it was soon discovered that the reason I was chosen was because I was the only nerd faculty on the campus who was into gaming. Not quite the same kind of gaming, but actually Olivia and I both enjoy writing, singing, and tabletop role playing. But I would say I would do what I could. And when she described the project to me, it had to do with cats killing things. So I said, well, what could be better than that? But even better, I knew a person who was up here above me, the great Quentin Westcott, who is a professional game designer and professional game artist for many years. And he was willing to guide and give feedback, constant feedback to what you're about to see. And it's largely from his wisdom that every single detail of this project is as good as it possibly could be. So I thanks you. And anything you want to add? No? Okay. So after this is all done, Olivia is going to graduate. She's going to go back home, save some money, get her own place, and then she's going to get a cat. Without further ado, Olivia Pita.
Thank you, Dr. Seaman. Thank you everyone for coming to my presentation. I'm super excited to explain it. I made a video game. It's called Adventure Cat Spelunking. And there are a few reasons why I made this game. First of all was to get experience, because before this point, I hadn't made a game using professional tools before, and I hadn't taken a project from concept to final product. So this was my chance to do that. Another reason was to have a piece for my portfolios, so that when I go apply for jobs, I can say, hey, look at this awesome thing I made. And also, I just generally think that the world needs more games about cats. So I made the kind of game that I want to play. It's got colorful cats, an emphasis on combat, and the power of friendship, which I will talk about later. So my game is a 2D platformer, which means it's the kind of game where you're jumping through levels, you collect shiny items, and you're fighting enemies and avoiding environmental hazards. Lots of quick reflexes. The prime example of this would be Super Mario Bros. The story of my game is that all cats have magic. These are the adventure cats. And there are also monsters in the world. And so the cats have to fight the monsters. So I've got three parts to my design process: the character design, the level design, and the actual programming. Starting with the cats, these are the character concepts I started with. I've had these characters for many years now. I write stories about them. So I already had a vague idea of like, here's the colors I want them to be. Here's how fluffy I want them to be. Can you tell which was the main character? But this is not good character design for a professional project. Better character design makes the characters unique in more than just color. It gives them specific items they carry, gives them different body types or different body language. So that's what I sketched out here. So we've got Rainbow Flash. She's the fighter of the group. So she's got the big bulky armor. She's the one who carries a giant axe around. But since she's also the protagonist, I drew her with soft lines because I want her to be a fluffy kitty cat. Fluffy, soft, huggable kitty. The other character who made it into this game is Lightning, and he is also a warrior, but he does more speed than brute strength. So his armor is placed around his legs to defend what his enemies would most want to hit. And I drew him with very sharp lines, very straight lines, because he's much more serious. He's always standing at attention. He's focused on the mission. The other two couldn't make it into the game, unfortunately. But the black cat is a rogue, so he's very thin and able to dodge easily. And the green cat is a mage, so she's got a large cloak for storing spell components. Here they are in pixel form. Of course, with the pixels, I lose some of the detail that I put in the sketches, but I still got the most important things there. And the reason why I pixelated them was to make animation easier, because the less detail you have, the less you have to keep consistent in between animation frames. For the monsters, they don't need to have personalities. They just need to be hateable. So I chose some animals that most people would probably find kind of creepy in some way or another. The salamanders are, lizards. They crawl around on their little legs and they've got big bulging eyes, so I want to emphasize that. The salamanders are a more snake-like variant. They lack their hind legs and stand on their tails instead. And both of these creatures have fire elemental powers in reference to the folkloric salamander. The final creature is the bug bat, which I chose to combine the general shape of the flying creature of the night with the excessive number of legs of an insect. Here they are in pixel form. However, there's a big problem with the salamanders, and that is you can't see them against a dark background. Up here, we've got the old design. It's black on a dark background. You can't really see it. So I had to tweak the design, and I ended up with this, which is bright orange and has a fun bulbous shape. So now they've got a little more character going on as well. And here they are side by side. The next thing I did was level design. One of the important aspects of level design is giving the player meaningful choices. In this level sketch I've got, if you take the lower path, it's straighter and easier. If you take the higher path, it's more challenging because of all these floating platforms require more precision in your movements. But if you take the higher platform, you also get rewarded with these little stars. They're a collectible item. So the choice is there. The player gets to choose whether to take an easier path or a harder but more rewarding path. Another thing that was important was to teach the player how to play the game. This is the first design for level 1, so it's very important. You gotta teach the player the controls and everything. So I divided it into 3 sections. In the first section, it's just got some simple platforms to jump on, a couple little salamanders. All the player needs to do is learn how to jump and attack. In the second section, I introduced the environmental hazards. So we've got lava and fire fountains and the door and button puzzle. Once the player is familiar with both the controls and the features, the third section adds a challenge. There, a giant monster drops from above and starts chasing the player. And so the player has to react to the hazards in that area quickly or else get caught. But there were problems with the original design of level 1 as well. Here's the final build. One of the things that Quentin told me when I had the original design was that everything was just too close together. The ceilings were too low, there wasn't enough horizontal space around the enemies for the player to get in there and fight, and all the features were just too close together. He said just spread everything out. That's what I did here for this final build. You can still see my 3 sections. First one here, second one here, and the third one here. But I've also got this 4th section added in, which introduces the fire fountains, the lava, and the standing enemies a little bit more gradually. Next, I've got 2 sections rolled into one, coding and combat. At the beginning of this presentation, I mentioned the power of friendship. Here's how it works. So our main character, Rainbow Flash, she's not going into the caverns alone. She's bringing her best friend Lightning with her. And this is part of the code that controls what he does. And this chart helps explain why he chooses to do what he does. For example, if there is an enemy within this blue box close enough to the player, then Lightning will attack it. He defends the player as his first priority. But if there's no enemies, the next thing Lightning needs to do is follow the player. So if he's in this little box here, he's perfectly close enough. He can just stay still. But if he moves out of the box, then he needs to walk to catch up. And lastly, if Lightning has completely gotten off the screen, if the player's gotten way ahead, Lightning just teleports back to her so that they don't stay apart too long. Here's my first little video I've got. Another thing that it was added in revisions was adding knockback for attacks. Because it's much more interesting to have something happen more than just doing damage when you hit your enemy. So that's what we've got here. So you see, we hit the enemy and it bounces back. And that last, I can show you the big demo. This is me playing through level 1 in its entirety. As you see, Lightning is attacking the enemies as they get close. I also add this cool ability where you can bounce off of things' heads. I chose to go to the left here first because we have these runes to collect. Those are the collectible object of the game. Here we've got the fire fountains. Touching them hurts, unsurprisingly. And here we've got the stand demander shooting fire. As you're playing the game, you can kind of choose to fight all the enemies if you want, or jump over them as best you can. And, you know, by your choice. There's the door. We go over here to find the button. And there's our giant salamander. Our extent of our level. So at the end of this project, I have the experience I needed. I have the portfolio piece, and I have the game to just share with anybody who wants to see it. I'll have the link for it at the end. These are the credits for my playtesters who helped me make the game way better than it was when I first started coding it. Quentin's at the top. Thank you, Quentin, very much. These were the references for my giant paper. And here's the link for the game. Unfortunately, it doesn't work on a phone, so you can get the link, but then you have to go type it into your computer later. I'm now open for questions. Yes, Alyssa. Those I got from free resources off the internet. There are a couple different websites. I think one of them is just called Open Game Art or something like that. So yeah. That's also how I got the art for the backgrounds as well. I drew the cats and the monsters, but not all the backgrounds. Yes.
So it's just a one-person game?
It's a one-person game, yeah.
I never thought of making it to like a two-person game and like be able to use the two.
It would be super cool. Maybe in a future project.
So you gave us a couple examples of how you change things in the process of doing it, changing the structure, changing the colors. I don't think anyone who has not done a game like this understands how many detailed decisions you made to create that final image.
Yep.
What was the most challenging developmental change you made that resulted in what we have here, would you say? What was one of the big ones?
Most challenging one. Oh no. I know doing the combat was, you know, a thing that had to be figured out once we added the second character. Was combat had to be rebalanced. I think the level design was probably what was hardest for me though. So I kind of thought, like, the first time when I was running through it on my own, I got used to how it was designed. I was like, oh, this is fine. So it really took giving it to my playtesters for them to say, like, hey, no, you should fix this and that. Yes.
How many levels did you design for like the final product?
I've got 2 levels in total. Yes.
Olivia, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
What language did you write that?
I used GD script, which is the proprietary language for the Godot engine. So the Godot engine has a bunch of tools built in to help you make games without having to do everything from scratch.
You learn something new doing that.
Yeah, definitely. I hadn't used that engine before, so just using that at all was a learning experience. So that's super cool.
Last question. Or just a thing I forgot to mention. I think this is the first video game owners project Walsh University has had. This is the first.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have any ideas for your next project?
Not off the top of my head. Nope, sorry. Probably more cats.
Final question?
Yes.
How much further would you like to look into experience in the future? 'Cause I know you're about 2 levels now. Like, do you want to create more, or do you want to do more something different?
I would absolutely love to create more levels, or maybe start a new game and create more levels for that. But yeah, I think the ideal like small game would have 10 levels and 1 or 2 boss battles in there as well. So, yeah, that's what I would keep going for.
Excellent job. Thank you.